Nigerians are heaving a sigh of relief as the National Assembly finally passes the 2016 budget. You're welcome to the Gavel. I'm Linda Akibe. The 2016 budget is one of the most talked about budgets in Nigeria in recent memory. It is a budget of firsts. By that I mean the first budget to be prepared by the present administration. But after delays and the controversy surrounding the budget, the National Assembly passed a 6.06 trillion naira budget. The budget passed is 17 billion naira lower than the figure of 6.07 trillion naira presented by President Buhari to the National Assembly. The journey to the passage of the 2016 budget has been contentious and fraught with acrimony. Ever since President Buhari laid the 2016 budget before a joint session of the National Assembly, the budget has been a sore point for the new administration. Reports first emerged that the budget was missing, then there were reports that it was doctored, then padded, and finally the National Assembly admitted that the budget was filled with inconsistencies. After months of trying to salvage the situation, the National Assembly Appropriation Committees finally completed work on the 2016 budget and presented it before the Senate and House of Representatives. In the Senate, the chairman of the Appropriation Committee gave the highlights of the budget.
Aggregate expenditure 6 trillion 60 billion 677 million 358,207 naira. In view of the revenue and general economic challenges confronting this nation, the committee has, in a landmark decision, not witnessed since the advent of the President Democratic Dispensation in 1999, reduced the size of the aggregate expenditure and consequently reduced the total recurrent deficit and borrowing plan. What am I saying? For the first time since 1999, this committee recommends the reduction of the budget size from what the executive brought to the National Assembly, as opposed to all the previous years whereby the Assembly increased what was provided, what was put before it by the executive. We did this in view of the economic challenge facing the nation, the sharp drop in the price of crude oil, and other challenges facing the government. So we recommend the budget to be reduced such that the executive will be able to implement it in full.
He also read out the observations made by the committee on the budget.
The appropriation bill, which is the first by the President administration, was not presented on time to the National Assembly. This subsequently affected the timely passage of the bill. 2. The appropriation bill, after its presentation to the National Assembly, was seen to be fraught with some inconsistencies from MDS, given the subsequent reference by them to different versions of the budget. This was also noticed at the level of the subcommittees. This is strange and goes against proper budgetary procedures and processes with attendant implications.
Federal lawmakers then made some observations about the 2016 budget.
I'm a bit worried about the observation contained at page 5, paragraph 5. It says, the 2016 appropriation bill contained a number of omissions, particularly in the area of personnel costs. Though the appropriation committee has faced some of the gaps, there are many outstanding cases which could raise serious concerns in the course of the year. Mr. President, the executive presented what we consider to be a proposal. And so the ultimate responsibility for this budget rests on us, members of the National Assembly. So if there are mistakes from the part of the executive, I think it ends at the point they presented the budget. If anything happens after that and we pass the budget, we cannot blame them any longer. I therefore would like to know what these outstanding cases are, because it appears they are in relation to personnel costs. It would not be a good commentary on this Senate or indeed National Assembly if down the line during the year we discover that some of the people we are representing cannot be paid because we are refused or have failed or neglected to appropriate for them their due salaries and emoluments.
If we work like this, I believe that would help Mr. President to move this country forward. So I share in the sentiment expressed by the Deputy Senate President that we still have an ample opportunity. We have a window of opportunity to address maybe one or two salient points. For instance, if there are MDAs or personnel in the country that will not receive their salary on account of omission here, then and will be blamed. If the MDAs and the ministries did a poor job out of the budget, the Senate cannot rubber stamp the poor job. Because if we do so, it means we are failing in our responsibilities to guide the administration properly. And I believe strongly that we'll be having a change in the wrong direction.
A bill for an act to authorize the issue from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation and the total sum of 6,077,680,000,000 naira only, of which 351,370,000,000 naira only is for statutory transfers, 1,475,320,000,000 naira only is for debt service, 2,648,600,000,000 naira only is for recurrent non-debt expenditure, while the sum of 1,845,540,000,000 naira only, inclusive of 157,150,000,000 naira capital expenditure and statutory transfer, and 86 billion naira as interest on capital loans is for contribution to the development fund for capital expenditure for the year ending on the 31st day of December 2016, third reading. The bill read the third time and passed.
The same procedure played out in the House of Representatives. However, briefing journalists after plenary, the chairman of the National Assembly Committees of Appropriation made further clarifications on the 2016 budget.
I would also like to talk about the aspect of certain elements that should be in the budget that we are missing. And these are some important items in the budget that both we members of the National Assembly and the executive arm of government agreed that this item ought to have been provided for in the budget. These items include, I give you an example, like the case of the NYSC, where the total number of core members for this year should be 260,000, and in the Aero, only 210,000 core members were captured.
The 2016 budget will now be sent to President Buhari for assent. However, it is one thing for the budget to be approved by the President, and it's quite another for the executive to implement as envisaged by the federal lawmakers.